Forgotten futures and repeated pasts, found within the threads of time. Time Diviner by Marlon, LaCert. A book made by mystics for mystics, with the hope of seeing a future, made by mystics for mystics. Live life with love and hope. Disclaimer: I did not write this book with the intent to offend anyone, but sadly, some may find the questions presented in this book to be hard on one's faith. I am just doing my best to tell it the way I see it. More to the point, I'm a mystic, but we're only human, and mistakes can and will be made. Feel free to email or write me about any mistakes you feel that I've made. However, please keep it civil. If your dreams or views differ from mine, for that is one thing that is meant to be human, and we all have different views. Just we mystics promote peaceful conduct when it comes to different ideas. I remember a story we had to read in school about a man who asked the world to join hands in peace. In the end, he caused a war between those who liked the idea and those who hated his idea. Even those who hate mystics should like my idea. Here's how. If you hate or dislike mystics, then if we pick up and leave, your future is your own. So if you hate mystics and want us to leave, donate lots. The more, the quicker we can leave. Same can be said for those who love to help mystics. Large help would be much appreciated. Those who think we do not exist, then please read this book for entertainment purposes only. Is this book truth, or is it a fiction book? Let's put it this way: the mystics will know, the skeptics will see only fiction, and some religious people will see only lies. Please read with an open heart, but not in the literal sense. Before and as you read the book, cast aside hate and fear. That is what is meant by an open heart. Enjoy. The intro. I welcome you if you dare, and wish it so. I will take you on a journey. On this journey you'll face aspects of your soul normally hidden from you. If you let me guide you, possible futures will open up to you. Be warned, nothing comes without a price. The price for changing your future is a hefty one indeed. Are you ready to take up the mantle and responsibilities of knowing? If so, then I welcome you to the works conceived of by my mind and soul. I'll understand if you feel this is too much for you to handle. So, listen on. Only if you're ready for your eyes to be opened. Consider this book a spoiler to what we call the unknown future. In the past, possibly the present, and definitely the future, those with my gift found isolation, persecution, and even death. So I do not write this book lightly, for it'll cause me lots of grief. This is my price I must pay to change the future. Thankfully, it will not be right away before I need to pay my price. That in many ways, I've already paid a hefty price. The price this book will ask you is tiny compared to the one I've paid and will continue to pay. Now, we all know when a price is involved, so too is a product offered. This product is well worth the price, but you need courage and dedication to make this product work in your favor. If you have neither, then I suggest that this book is not for you. Right now, you're a passenger asleep in a car. This book will open your eyes in ways you have not thought possible. Now, once you've read this book, if you do not have the courage and the dedication to grab the steering wheel when you see the cliff in your view, then you're better off remaining asleep. Now, I'm not trying to scare you. I'm only offering you fair warning, so consider yourself warned. Since you've listened this far, I must assume that you're a brave soul. Well, to a brave soul, I bid you welcome. For within these pages are some of the secrets of time. Now, some of you have a big question mark. How? Why? What's he getting at? I'll tell you. For you see, I'm a mystic. One of the prices I've paid to learn the future was seeing what I've seen in the future. I have grown in abilities over the years. When I first started, I could not change what I'd seen. This took me to the depths of despair and back. Since then, knowledge of how to change the flow of time was gleaned. When I first started writing this book, my hands were shaking, consolidating every bit of courage that I could find, even dredging the depths of my soul. Visions went from vapor to words written upon a computer. Some things have been left out for my safety and yours. In time, I will tell all to those who decide to aid me on my life's journey. The rest of you will be left a little in the dark, but then again, you'll be shown more than you ever dreamed possible. One more thing before you start. What I will tell you within this book will seem quite depressing, but keep on listening, for hope resides within these pages. Read on with logic and love, and keep a cup of hope next to your soul. Enjoy your journey.
Ready or not, the race is on. When I say race, I'm talking about the race we are all in. For this is one race we cannot lose. To lose is to have the entire human race join the ever-growing list of creatures now extinct. What I'm saying is we must work to keep our names off that list. Quickest ways to add our name to that list. Let the nukes rain, and those who do not die outright from the blast will soon be joined by the many more that will tarry only a short time before the radiation raises them to the afterlife. Biological occurrence, be it man-made or nature's wrath, whereas any overpopulation of any type of animal will result in sickness unless a high degree of medical drugs are administered. In time, this will breed a new strain of sickness, resulting in one that is stronger and even more deadly. This path is less likely to put us on the list, but it'll bring civilization to its grave, for some will most likely survive, if only a few. A driverless Earth could run afoul with a giant heavenly object. This heavenly body will bring hell to Earth as it plummets down. So, too, will we plummet in numbers, even possibly to the point of on to the list. The scariest way to join that list is by starvation, for as we overpopulate the world, and with our cities beginning to starve as food reserves run empty, the city dwellers will invade the farms for food, and this in turn pushes us closer to the list. For as the cities take out the farms, no new food is made, and people have no salvation in sight. Hence humanity's darkest hour would be upon us. The most likely way we will bite the big one is by witless suicide, from the ingestion of countless toxins found both in our air and food, with some of them doing damage to our genes. And if widespread, it would be like inbreeding, for it would not matter who you married if they have the same damaged genes. Then this damage will be multiplied to your children. One concept is that it may already be too late, for we could already be affected, and within a few generations humanity will appear on the extinction list. Nature does have a fix for this solution, and that fix is called mutation, for by this very act nature can sidestep such a disaster. But would we still be human? I'd say yes. As long as we keep compassion and logic, we are good to go. Now there are 5 horsemen you must look out for. Now that you've been prepared for such a dark topic, please read, as my visions of the future will take you to the edge of your soul. Remember, I promised a glint of hope, so no matter how dark you feel, please read on, my dear brave soul, for to read only the darkness would be a crime against your very soul, just as it would leave the soul stripped by only reading the path of hope, for a soul fed on good alone will leave the spirit lacking the full motivation needed to make the path of hope real. I give you hope, and I hope that I have shown you sufficient reason to take action. Now race on. My very first temporal vision. I was but 5 years of age when I had my first run-in with the streams of time, where I was lying in bed, and at the moment somewhere between sleep and awake, in a state where one feels like a deeper self is wakening, yet the normal mind is still at full alert. Then it hit me, for it felt like I was being ripped out of my body and shot forwards in time. The images that soon filled my vision were both distant in both time and space. I could see a marvelous city with plants growing everywhere, and in the center there was a building round like a ball. Cars drove by with no fumes, allowing a man to jog along within a clean environment. Some force then draws my mind back to the sky. The sky is nearly perfectly clear, and next a black object appears with the shape like that of a Nerf football. Next moment it turns to this color of sky, then back to black. Then it hits somewhere in town. A heat wave hits the jogger, then a shock wave hits, and he is gone. Just poof. Next I see the view from afar. For now a mushroom plume acts as the herald of death. This vision came to me every night for 2 years, with each time getting a little longer, and more detail was revealed. The very last vision, I heard my adult voice telling me to run above or hide below it. But try with all avail, you will not prevail in changing the world's fate, for you must save your people. I asked, how do I choose who to save? The response, they will know. I asked, where do I get the money to do this? The response, it'll be provided. I asked, what do I need to do? The response, knowledge is the key. Science will be the world's destruction, but it'll be our key to existence. Follow your inner light. It will guide you. Some other voice joins in, feeling like a voice comprised of many. Humanity must survive no matter what. Do what you will, do what you must, for survival of your people is a must. I asked, will mankind on earth be no more? That was the end of my looping nightmare. From that day, I've taken what was said to heart, and I've read all the science books I could find. Now, when I was a child, I've told this to others. Their first response was, you must have seen it on television. Well, to put that to bed, I grew up without running water, and a television was not present. You see, my mother was a teacher, and she said television made people dumb. Thankfully, she had dozens of school science books, but not one talked about nukes or the other things I have seen. On a side note, we did eventually get a television around when I turned 8 and a TRS-80 color computer. It turns out my mother's early dislike of television was a product of being unable to afford one. When we got one for free, she professed a love for television. Since his time as a child, I've had 8 unsolicited visions. The first one was the furthest in time. The next one was of me driving a red car and ending up in an accident where the wheels of a big truck had a piece of metal shoot off of it, hitting the roof frame and then smashing my right arm and leg. Later, in the hospital, the doctors tell me my nerves were severely damaged. I am told that I will never have full use of my arm. Someone I know brings in a case. Within the case is a metal frame that fits over my arm. I put this on my arm and it begins to fuse and sink into the damaged skin. The skin seals and heals very quickly. Within a short amount of time, I go to leave. The doctor says something about my arm. I wave and wiggle all my fingers. As I wave, the doctor's face is one of shock. Every other vision I've had after this point has come true, save this one and the 2 before this. 5 out of 8, and I have yet to be wrong. Well, these 8 happened without my willing consent. Later, I learned how to see threads of causality. This is a way I can slightly influence the future. One thing I have learned, instead of telling a person their future, it is sometimes best to tell them a fictitious story and ask them how they would correct it in the now when they have a clear head. The other is to show you hope and pray that you try the path I am showing you. Sadly, many have a suicidal nature and seem to revel in the fact that once they die, so too will the whole world join them. Thankfully, most mystics don't hate the world that much, nor do truly loving people pray for the end of the world. I wish to help people survive what many will be calling the end. To those who have been chosen, the stars are ours, and hope is the only weapon we need against the evil that resides within the heart of mankind. Now you know my motivation.
Chapter I. The year? Somewhere in the near future. Man has faced many economic hiccups. We, however, do not walk away from this unscathed. Our beloved government can only hold our wallets aloft for so long. For eventually, someone will have to pick up the tab. Will it be our children or us? I do know one thing. The longer it takes, the worse the disaster. I close my eyes and gaze into the future, only to see strife and pain. The pain hurts so much that my eyes cloud with tears. Something more lurks in our future, something darker than dark. Vision begins to clear up, and I see a world where bread costs more than I have on me right now. A world where an average man cannot afford good food. A world where pet population declines, yet pet food becomes #1 seller. Try not to wince, but pet food is cheaper alternative to death. Yet thanks to the fact that is classed as pet food, manufacturers are saved from the same strict regulations imposed upon food for human consumption. With the declining economy, many of our faithful pet food name brands are forced to reduce their once strict standards. In some cases, Fido really does get to eat Fifi, or much worse, as animal shelters take up organic recycling. My mind digs deeper into the ethers of time. Sounds can be found to accompany the images. I see three men talking about the state of the world. It is a good place to start, or so I hope. Man 1, where do you get all that food to keep your tool shed hanging over your belt? Man 2, yeah, out of all of us, you're always well fed. Man 3, you do not wish to know what one has to eat nowadays. Man 1, like what? Man 2, share your secret. Man 3, remember I used to own 10 dogs? Now I have only 2 left. Man 1, sick. That's just sick. Man 2, do they taste good? Man 3, dog tastes like dog. You know how wet dog smells? Some of that smell is in the meat. Man 2, oh, I have a dog. Looks like barbecue tonight. Man 3, vinegar is perfect for removing that smell. Man 2, I do not have any of that left, but I have a few old beer I was keeping for a good meat day. Their conversation has me reeling back, but I manage to keep a grip on the time stream. A newspaper will show me more. I look, but only find older-looking ones. Nothing that looks recent to this timeline. My excessive search yields fruit. A paper reads, today could be our last print without a government bailout. The jobless rate hits an all-time high of over 80%. Those few with jobs have just went on strike, stating that they cannot make ends meet with the current level of pay. One was quoted as saying that they were better off on social assistance due to high gas prices. On a side note, the government announced that due to financial problems, social assistance levels have to be cut in half. The startling part is this cutback comes with an election on the way. Analysis state this announcement is suicide for the current government party. With such grim news in the paper, I decide to look to the television broadcast. The news is not what I expected. No more independence. The government now runs the new news. An anchorman in a military uniform speaks. We have found the cause of our current poverty situation. We offer you a solution, but you must be ready for action. We need you to report to us those who are mega different. We have found that there are those with powers. We will show you that they are to blame for everything. We mean everything. For starters, if you're sick, or a loved one has been lost for no reason, these people are to blame. If you call them people, they are so different that they cannot be called people. As a result, they are not protected by our laws. Our laws are for people, not monsters. Monsters lurk in human skin. Monsters that can only smile at our doom. Monsters that saw this coming and did not warn us. Monsters that have stocked up for this disaster. Monsters that benefit from our destruction. We must take back what should be ours. Our survival depends on their extinction. It is us or them. We do not fear monsters. We will remove them. We will give them a taste of our life. We will toss them in camps so that they may feel our starvation pains. Their ill-gotten loot of food will be used to feed humans. We will. My senses burn with frustration and the feeling of dreaded doom. It's not in stone, I tell myself. There is still hope. Worry wrinkles my brow. Despite all this, I fight on. Armed with hope in my heart, forward I plunge. The ethers wax and wane in response to my mental invasion into the time streams. Blurred images of people torturing people. Fits of pain assault my body. I pull away. Now determination fills me. Determination to find a vision of hope. I search to the point of near complete mental fatigue. Spark a light, be it dim and flickering, draws my soul adrift in the ether's new destination. I see mystics, such as myself, working feverishly to complete 2 spaceships. They have a working spaceport, and moon mining has provided them much of the needed material for 2 spaceships. Each ship is made to hold 72,000 in population. Holding hope in my heart, I let my soul, mind, retreat from the time stream. Returning to my body, I feel the chill as the once soulless body returns to life, and my joints are stiff, my muscles hurt with every inch I move, as fresh blood burns through my body. The realization that perhaps I was gone too long flutters through my mind. Shaking off the feeling of self, I grab my pen, and words splay onto paper, doing my best to describe what I've seen, and harder still, explain what I felt. Later, when I regain my full faculties, I will continue my future dives. In doing so, I have no idea whether the future is real or something made up by my imagination. I shudder with fear, and the human capacity for denial kicks in. Perhaps this is all something made up by the darkness that dwells within. And with that as my newfound reassurance, I continue to write on, as if what I've seen is but a story. The nagging emotion haunts me to this very day. What if it's all real? Then what? Hope I warn the right people, and pray I do not inspire the wrong ones. Follow-up comments. My time diving has had too much toll upon my body, or it'll take time to recover. Perhaps there might be a less intrusive way. With experimenting, I have found a new way to do something similar as time dive. However, this method leaves me a sore head. A few things have left me with more questions than the answers. What is the cause of the world collapse? Can we change the future? Or are we stuck to some predestination? Yet something tells me the answers to those questions are held within this book. Could this book be the cause? Or is this book the solution to preventing man's extinction? For looking into the threads of time, I can clearly see the world's economic fall is not because of my book or my actions, but the cause lurks in the way cash-based society systems interact. For everyone wishes to be rich, but in a cash-based economy, there must be a top and a bottom, where it's built like a pyramid, with the entire elite few at the top and the majority on the bottom. Two ways to crash such an economy. One way is to make the top larger than the bottom, and the other way is to have individual debt exceed that which they can pay off. Gradually the pyramid collapses, and with no alternative, we must return to barter. However, those in the city can produce few products to trade for food, and with fuel prices on the rise, ask yourself, how high can they go before all collapses? You're right. If you say, I have no right to complain, for the only solution I can offer would be to ask the world to give up greed, and that will not happen, or at least the majority will not do so willingly. So instead I call to a few bold mystics who wish to try and form a cooperative-based society, a society where we can find a way to live off the grid and grow our own food. Not talking about abandoning technology, but embracing a world-friendly aspect of such tech. However, we would be dependent on the rest of the world for trade, but in the event of an economical crash, we would be unharmed, just no more new toys till the world recovers. A crash like the one that happened in 1929 is not likely to happen again, due to the fact that the government has ways of propping up the economy now. This was an invention made from the seeds of necessity. However, there are limits to how much a house of cards can be reinforced from the winds of disaster. My vision of the future shows an impending doom, one that humanity must face as a whole if they wish to grow stronger. But sadly, I can see that most of humanity is not at the required mental growth stage. For when trouble hits the pocketbooks, many will look around them and feel anger at those who appear to have, yet when in reality, others may be just as poor off as they are, and their uncontrolled anger will lead to atrocities that will darken the hearts of many. One thing we must never forget, we owe our possible survival and our impending doom to humanity's warlike nature. For weapons can bring us death, but knowledge of their use can save us from things that may lurk in the depths of space. But we do not need weapons here on Earth, where we need only diplomatic skills and kindness. A mystic should never turn a weapon on a fellow human. If we have a choice between run or fight, we need to run. What I'm saying is we must pick peace as a path, but when left with no other choice but to fight with a clear conscience. My perception. For the next 6 years after the year 2011, the world government will struggle to keep the world's economy aloft, and they will do exceedingly well considering all factors. Sadly, 7th year, there will be a slip that will slowly lead this vision of the future into reality. Some irreversible threshold will be crossed, yet it may take as much as 15 to 20 years for that event to have full effect.
Stay tuned to this mystic channel so that we may know you are listening, as we shall ready more content for you soon.